your life where you learn so many things that you come to a point where you know what you want to do. Whether it be that supercar you see driving down the road that will trigger your artistic side, whether it be the numbers you see while doing maths, which will trigger a future physician, or even a guy that sees a hammer hit into a nail. It could be your labor side. So your childhood is basically everything that makes you who you are.
My happiest memory was when all of my family had a reunion and we all went down to my uncle's beach house and we crabbed and we shrimped and we caught lots and lots of crabs and my mom cooked and that was the best time ever.
My best game was none of this fancy electronic stuff, little Wii and whatever, Xbox and Sony. No, it was nothing like that. It was just me and my brother and playing Playmobil. I was the cowboy, he was the Indian, and we used to throw each other a little tennis ball to hit our little toys. And so that was our best game.
My favorite thing to do when I was a child was to ride my Jacques Anquetil bike that my parents had ordered from France because I lived in Canada and it was a very special bike. I would take this bike and ride it to the next candy store to buy Popeyes cigarettes.
My favorite birthday was when I became 10 and then I got my first rabbit called Gullan and she was really cute.
We used to go for swimming and then to cinema. A lot of nice things, I remember we used to do, and sometimes cooking also, which I love to cook, in small pieces things, and I was really happy with that.
To me, childhood means having fun, growing up, learning new things, and preparing to become an adult.
My favorite game during my childhood was to play outdoors in the forest with my school friends and with my neighborhood poles, and we built a house on a tree and we spent a lot of time there. We were hiding when people were passing by and we had lots of fun.
Meine schönste Erinnerung, wie ich klein war, wie wir gegangen sind, meine Mutter und mein Vater und ich, auf eine schöne Reise nach Belgien, weil wir zusammen waren nach vielen Jahren, weil mein Vater war weg während des Krieges. Und das war eine sehr schöne Erinnerung für mich.
My first childhood pet was a fish named Angel. I got a little too excited when we first got her home, and I overfed her. She only lived about 2 days, but she's still really close to my heart. I like to think that I gave her a little too much love.
I enjoy movie making because it lets me record everything I do and makes my imagination flow, and that's what I do in my spare time.
I remember when I was 7 years old and we were living in Windermere and my father wanted to go back to Lebanon to retire. So we made the trip across France by train and then we got onto a very nice cruise ship which left Marseille to Beirut. On the way we stopped in Naples and it was night time, and I remember everybody was on the deck because the volcano over there was active and there was a lot of smoke and fire coming out, and I remember that very clearly.
A week ago, when it was leap year,
It was my birthday, and now I'm 3 years old, and I broke my tooth on that day with an iPad.
In my childhood, I used to play with, actually I'm not quite sure what I used to play with so long ago. Anyway, I had a cat like this that I played with sometimes. She was called Daisy. I played with marbles because there weren't any computer games, so I used to knock marbles together with my mates. And I had a bike until it got stolen. Then I just got another bike, yeah, sort of pieced together. And I had a skateboard. I was really appalling skateboard player, but I used to enjoy it for a bit until I fell off and hurt myself. There you go, that's what I used to do when I was a kid.
I was born and grew up in Hong Kong and Singapore. The happiest day of my childhood was the beginning of every summer holiday, and the saddest moment of my childhood was the day my father died when I was 11. My least favourite teacher is a woman whose name I don't remember, but she taught French, and she was horrible.
But I think my favourite toy was my wheelbarrow. I had a little wheelbarrow that I got from my grandfather when I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and as I spent a lot of time in the countryside with my grandfather, who had a big farm, I would run behind him with my little mini wheelbarrow for kids and yeah, collect stuff, and it went everywhere with me. I went to the shops with it. Yeah, it was my favourite thing in the whole wide world.
In my early childhood, I liked to spend my time playing on the street. After our house there was a little street where there was no cars, and there were a lot of kids of my age who were playing there, and we roller skated and we played games, hide and seek. It was a wonderful time.
The most trouble I ever got into at school was when I took a pellet gun in to show off to my friends. I got caught by my teacher, who was called Mr. Chichios, and I got a month's detention, and I had to stay late in school every single night, and it was the worst trouble I'd ever got into.
The biggest moment in my childhood was when I got a dog. I really wanted a dog for a long time, and finally my parents said, yes, you will have a dog. So we went out to choose a dog, and I chose a collie dog. I really wanted a collie dog because I've seen the Lassie movies for many times. So I got this small black and white puppy and named it King.
My favorite animal is horses because you can ride on them and you can take care of them.
It was great. It was a great time, and great university, great people. It was in New York. It was a very lively place. A lot to do, a lot of different people, a lot of cultures. I mean, it was just the best time in my life.
When I was a child, I liked to play with my doll. I had a Tiny Tears doll, which was very popular at that time. And I also used to ride a bike and do skipping games. And I used to play jacks, which was played with a little ball, and you just put these things on pick these things up in your hand. And I used to, every year we used to go to Cornwall, and I used to play in the sea there.
Well, my favorite game was to play football with my brother and his friends. And since I was the only girl, I always had to be the goalie. And I was a pretty good one. The saddest moment of my childhood was when my dog died.
When I grow up, I like to be an astronaut.
I played golf, cricket, football and tennis. I also had Lego and toy cars and toy trains.
Well, my dear, the silliest thing I did as a child, it was running away from home.
I ran away in the morning because I wanted to play with my friend. She lived nearby, she was my best friend, I wanted to play with her so much. It was a beautiful day, but I was not allowed to stay for more than 1 hour. And I wanted to play more, so I ran away. And then when I came back home in the evening, I was punished and I had to stay home for 1 month after that. That was a very silly thing to do.
La plus grosse bêtise que j'ai fait quand j'étais petite, j'ai eu tellement phobie de rats, de petits souris comme ça. Puis mon frère m'a dit, tu peux prendre les petites monnaies dans ma poche. Et puis j'ai dit d'accord, et puis j'ai pris la petite monnaie, mais c'est pas la petite monnaie, c'est des souris. J'ai tellement phobie de ça et j'ai sauté dans le balcon, carrément. Et j'ai eu placatra dans ma jambe qui était cassée.
Well, to be a dancer.
You're going to be a dancer? How are you going to do that?
I want to be a teacher too.
Do you want to be a teacher?
Yeah, but I don't know which one.
The most remarkable moment of my childhood was when I was about 10 years old and my dad took me to a football stadium for the first time to watch a match of my favorite team, which is called Corinthians from Brazil. And I was very happy, and it was an experience I'll never forget.
My happy childhood memory was on a frozen lake, walking on thick ice with my father, digging holes to put a fishing line in the hole like the Eskimos would do and catch pikes.
I did many funny things, but one of the most funny stories I remember is when I was like 4.5 years old and my little sister was 2 years old. And my grandmother has made us gingerbread houses. And we got the gingerbread houses just before going to bed, and our mom and dad said that we should put them in the window, by the window. And in the morning, when we came to my sister's room, she had somehow managed to get the gingerbread house down into her bed. So there was gingerbread house all over the bed and all over her face, and she looked like a mess. But she was very happy.